This is Red Hat from the Red Hat Table coming at you another edition of MLB Observations ending of the 2023 season going into this year's 24th season, Week 10 of Hot Stove. So, Diego Castillo, formerly the Diamondbacks, decided to mind you of the Mets. Not to be confused with the guy who pitched for Seattle. The Detroit outrighted Donnie Sands, who was one of the players in the trade for Gregory Soto. Again, I thought that was a dumb trade because the Tigers gave up an all-star closer for like backups. Pirates DFA Mass Carnick, and the update is that the Mets have picked him up off waivers, so that gives the Mets another body. White Sox have DFA Zach Remillard and then officially outrighted him a couple days later. I don't like that move. Romy Gonzalez has showed us nothing. Yeah, Zach Remillard was like a journeyman, career minor league rookie guy who made it this year and he's like 28 or 29 years old, but he showed hustle. He got some key hits. He scored some key runs. He made some key defensive plays. Romy Gonzalez hasn't proven he could hit, and he missed time with injuries, and he's not an outfielder. Like I'd rather have Remillard than Romy Gonzalez, but it is what it is. Angels outrighted Adam Kolarek. Definitely someone will pick up the veteran relief pitcher. Donovan Walton re-signed with the Giants. Again, utility guy. Reds re-signed Alice Benitez. That's just the rotational depth. Will Crowe is going to the KBO, so none of this, I stay for years, he shouldn't be relieving when he could start. He's going to go to the KBO. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going overseas. Franmil Reyes is going to Japan. The Franmil, the slugging outfielder DH who really can't fill his position, may hit 30 home runs in Japan. I don't know. Rob Brantley started my do the Rays because if you follow the Rays, they have Francisco Mejia, right? Comes back from injury, cut him. Trade Betancourt, let Betancourt go in the offseason to Cleveland, and now he's on Miami. And they got this Pinto guy, who's probably a third stringer on most teams, Like, I guess Rob Brantley, who I'm a fan of, who was playing in the major leagues, is just good depth. Miami re-signed outfielder Jonathan Davis, and he's a quality 4th or 5th outfielder, or when really injuries happen, you have to play him. Yankees picked up utility man Kevin Smith. Again, that's good rotational depth. Corey Abbott gone to the Mariners. That's rotational depth. Anthony Kay, who also started and relieved in the big leagues for, like, the Blue Jays and the Cubs. He's going to Japan. Kirby Snead, who's been around the block, and Jonathan Diaz going to the Mariners again, rotational depth. Austin Pruitt's going to Texas, rotational depth. Both Holby Milner of Texas and Cal Quantrill of Colorado avoid arbitration. Shane Green, the former Yankees, Dodger, and Cubs closer, and Jonathan Older, the former Yankees pitcher, are going to Texas. I can see them all pitching innings for the Texas Rangers because they still haven't obviously fixed the bullpen. Like, they've lost a lot of guys in free agency. Red Sox have picked up Mauricio Llovera off the Red Sox waivers. He'll be useful. Tanner Tolley's going to the Yankees. Don't know who that is. JT Brubaker avoided arbitration from the Pirates. Eliezer Hernandez, the former Mets and Marlins pitcher, is going to be on the Dodgers. White Sox signed Jake Woodford, the former Cardinal, to minor league deal. And again, I want to give the White Sox credit because for the past couple of years, like when they said they were competing in 2021 and 2022 and even 2023, they rarely signed former major leaguers to minor league deals at certain positions to build up. So I'm glad that they're actually signing guys because I'm just looking at it like, really? Like, you're not going to have any depth in case of injuries, and the Sox out there doing bullpen games? Like, you got to have something, okay? Dakota Hudson and Jacob Stallings both signed in Colorado. Dakota Hudson, the former starting pitcher in St. Louis, who's been used as a reliever and a closer and a setup man, may get an opportunity like Cal Quantrill to get a change of scenery and pitch, and they can always flip him at the deadline, or he works himself into a multi-year contract in the offseason. Jacob Stallings, a Gold Glove catcher, will back up Diaz. That's a good move, because I guess Diaz is offensively good and Stallings is good defensively, but Diaz could also be traded. Luke Raley, the outfielder, first baseman DH, who has no business playing center field, has been traded to Seattle. He'll replace, most likely, Kalenic in left field to get some at-bats because Julio Rodriguez is having center field on hold, and they got Mitch Garver at DH. But obviously, you can spell Ty Fred to first base, and all they give it up is utility man Jose Caballero, who's a good pickup in Tampa Bay because Brandon Alonso is injured, and at the same time, Franco's probably never going to play baseball, so like Taylor Walls can't hit, nor can a few of the other guys, but hey, give them another utility option. Tommy Edman had wrist surgery, so he's hoping to be back in spring training. The Brewers picked up Austin Nola. Well, they just recently got Eric Haas to back up Williams Contreras, or, Wilson Contreras' younger brother. I don't see Austin Nola making this team unless there's a huge injury. He picked the wrong team, no offense. Mariners made another trade. They traded Robbie Ray, who obviously missed pretty much the whole entire season and missed probably the first couple of months, for injury-prone pitcher Anthony Stefani and former Mariners outfielder Mitch Haniger. So that was a great offseason move for the Mitch Haniger and the Giants with him and Conforto in the outfield because both of them missed time. Haniger's go back to where he had the best years of his career in Seattle, and he'll fill the hole that Teoscar Hernandez left as the two-way player in right field that Hernandez is not. Stefani, if he's healthy, Scott Service will actually start this guy instead of the Giants having him and Alex Wood and Ross Stripling and Minaya just pitch on a bullpen. Like, he'll actually start for them, which is better than Robbie Ray, who, when he does come back, the Giants will have him, and he'll be a very useful pitcher because he's an all-star pitcher. Wander Franco has been released on bond, lesser charges, Dominican Republic. The mother of one of the children, she got arrested too. But if he's only going to get like lesser charges and he's able to, go on bond and go wherever he wants, and what I'm getting at is that like he can just come as a go whenever he needs for questioning, he may somehow get away with the least amount of punishment, which is horrible. Atlanta has paid Major League money to Luis Guillorme because they said, you know what? We'll trade Nicky Lopez to the White Sox, get Aaron Bummer in that trade. We'll also pick up David Fletcher's contract and Evan White's contract and all these other guys in these trades recently. And instead of having Fletcher be the backup, we're going to outright him and still got to pay him all this money. And then we'll pay all this money to Luis Guillorme, who when healthy is a really, really good defensive backup infielder, second base, shortstop, and third base. But Atlanta has probably one of the best starting infields of Riley, Olsen, Albies, and now Arcia, that Albies has missed time before, so that'll be a good guy to fill in there. I'm just saying, it's a lot of ABCD to get to like this point for them, that Guillorme is no longer in New York and he's Atlanta's backup. That's where I'm just like, don't really get that. Yamamoto's new contract details are coming out. One of them is he can't be optioned to minor leagues. That's how it is for most veterans after they get like 10 and 5 or whatever. Sean Manaea had a 2-year, $28 million deal to the Mets. He'll slide into a rotation that is paying Senga a lot of money, paying Quintana a lot of money. So that will be helpful if he's actually healthy and can pitch out of the rotation instead of swinging back and forth in the bullpen like with the Giants. So that's a good move. And if it doesn't work out, they can flip him at the deadline like they did Scherzer and Verlander recently and all the other pitchers. So White Sox have hired Jim Wong as their assistant GM. He's a longtime Royals executive. I don't understand this. Why are you modeling yourself after the Royals? If you want to model yourself against the Astros, the current Texas Rangers, Tampa, this year's Baltimore team, or Milwaukee, or St. Louis, or Atlanta, or Philadelphia even, or the Dodgers, I understand that, but why are you modeling yourself after the Royals? Like, I wish they had taken the former Kim Nan, whatever real Kim Ning her name is, who used to be in the Sox rotation many years ago, and now she's not with Miami. She would have been someone you want in the front office. Or Chaim Bloom, who is officially now a special advisor for the Cardinals. Like, that could have been the White Sox. Yankees have hired Pat Rassler to be one of their new assistant hitting coaches. And the White Sox also pick up Chad Kuhl on a minor league deal. Now, that I understand because he was a former a former pitcher with the Pirates and the Nationals. And for the most part, he should just eat innings. He can't. Not a major league deal. He can stay in AAA, and if injuries happen in the rotation, he can just come up, and he actually has started the major leagues before. That's an okay move. And then, Teoscar Hernandez, speaking of him and the Mariners, the Dodgers signed him to a 1-year, $23.5 million deal, with his contract being deferred from 2030 to 3039. The Dodgers are the king of deferment payments. But that solves a hole in left field, actually. He's going to play left field. And it looks like Hayward, Emmanuel Margot, and a platoon in right field, and Outman's going to play center field because the dumb Mookie Betts playing second base. So that fills a good spot in the lineup offensively, but we all know it's not about the offense for the Dodgers because now you have Ohtani with Freeman and Mookie Betts and Muncy and Will Smith. It's pitching is the question there. As I mentioned, Chaim Bloom is the Cardinals' new advisor. That's good for him. Woody Williams, former Astros pitcher, is now the Houston College team's director of pitching strategy. So that's pretty cool to go back, give to his community. Rachel Balkovich, the first woman to be a manager in the minor leagues, is now the Marlins director of player development. They went from having Ming Na as the GM, and now this woman. So congratulations to her. I'm like a pretty good gig to be in charge of a whole entire player development system instead of just one system. Cubs have signed one of the Japanese pitchers who became a free agent and wanted to come over here. And Shota Magna on a 4-year, $53 million deal. Justice Hill was an all-star last year. They're paying Tyone all this money, and they have Kyle Hendricks on the roster too. So, like, he fills, like, a hole in the 3 or 4 spot for that money. And all they hope is that he's a mid-rotation guy. And I don't know much about him. I don't watch Japanese baseball, but 53 is a lot of money. But, again, he had success over there, and the Cubs were like, we need some more pitching. And that's definitely, now the Cubs have, like, gotten some position players here and there in the offseason. I mean, they have guys that they're targeting. That's a good move. Dodgers officially are deferring $865.5 million through 2028 and 2040. So, Red Sox promoted Paul Tubuni to be assistant GM. There have been no felony charges for Julio Urias. It may come down to misdemeanor, so he may play. I don't know where he's going to go. Luis Roberts officially hired Scott Boras, which if you're a Sox fan, you're like, great. Yeah, he's not coming back. Yasiel Rios going to the Mets. Cody Thomas going to Japan. Sergio Alcantara going to Pittsburgh. Joe Kuhnel's been outrighted. Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, Kristen Walker, Willie Adames, Max Fried, Santander, Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, Gleyber Torres, Zach Allen, Verdugo, Grisham, Clay Holmes, Nestor Cortez, Trevino, Lasai, Gishman, and Gonzalez all avoided arbitration. Mariners have hired Danny Farquhar to be an assistant pitching coach and the pitching strategist. So they yoink him out of the Sox system when the people have been clamoring that Ethan Katz may not be the answer pitching coach for the White Sox, and you did fire Kurt Hassler, the bullpen coach, like you could have just promoted from within. 105.3, The Fan, has signed an extension to be continuing to call Rangers games. Congratulations for them. Arbitration deadline was Thursday night. That's where they made sure that was then. Yankees have picked up Luke Weaver. And again, Cardinals prospect that was traded in the Diamondbacks trade for Paul Goldschmidt, Carson Kelly. You know, Diamondbacks had him as a starter. They moved him to bullpen. That wasn't good. Then he went to Kansas City and Cincinnati, and that didn't really work out. He ended the year with the Yankees. Again, as organizational depth for the Yankees, he can either be the 5th starter or pitch in AAA or pitch out of bullpen. It doesn't matter. With the Glasnow trade and a lot of other pitchers gone, Shane McClanahan signed a 2-year, $72 million extension with the Rays. It makes sense. He's their best pitcher still left. Cubs have picked up former Dodgers top prospect Mike Bush and pitcher Yency Almonte for prospects Jackson Farias and Zaire Hope. All that Michael Bush does is give the Cubs another infielder who can't field his position but can hit, like Patrick Wisdom, who's playing first base, like Morel, who's not a great fielder and he plays everywhere, and Nick Madrigal, who's a second baseman, playing third base. So just adding him to the mix of guys who have no position, they're going to hit. The White Sox have second baseman. They would take a guy who can't field. And obviously, getting a pitcher like Yency Almonte will be good for their bullpen. Michael Chavis on mind you the Mariners, as I mentioned. Between Rojas and Urias, it's the potential guys to play second base and third base with Caballero gone now. I don't know. Let's see what happens in spring training. Michael Chavis makes the team as a platoon third baseman, occasional second baseman. He can hit 15, 20 home runs. Let's see what happens. Cubs DFA'd Brian Servant only after getting him 2 weeks ago because they obviously got these 2 guys. And the Dodgers really looking to clear roster spots. That's why they traded both these guys. White Sox signed Rafael Otero to join Brett Phillips. Again, we got 2 guys on minor league contracts that will probably try out, and they probably won't work out for them. Rangers have signed Andrew Kinston, the former Cardinals backup, to replace Austin Hedges as the backup. Let's see how that goes because obviously Jonah Heim did miss time last year, even though he was an all-star and Silver Slugger. You know he'll miss time, so Kinzer will play a lot. Rays have signed pitcher Naoki Uwasawa. Again, they know how to get the most out of pitchers, no matter if it's Joe Madden or Kevin Cash as the manager. We'll see how that helps them out when they try to make the playoffs. Reds have signed Brett Suter to a 1-year, $3 million deal. That makes sense. The moves they made for Nick Martinez and Emilio Pagan, I think, I didn't understand the years and the money, but again, Brent Suter was one of the better middle relief pitchers in Milwaukee. Then he went to Colorado and was pretty good, so that's a good move. Max Karnick, as I mentioned, going to the Mets. Danny Youngle's going to the Mets on a minor deal. Drew Verhagen, the former Cardinals pitcher, taking his talent to Japan. Matt Davidson taking his talent to the KBO, and he's a big-time slugger. He can't field. He's even dabbled in pitching, but he'll get a lot of a chance to hit home runs in the Korean Baseball League. Mets have DFA Cooper Hummel. So any chances of him getting at bats at outfield, catcher, or first base, or DH are not going to happen. Braves have extended their GM Alex Anthopoulos through 2031. And the last 2 baseball moves are Jordan Hicks had a 4-year deal, $44 million. So the Giants spent all this money on the foreign import and center field, right? They just get Robbie Ray, right? they didn't get the pitcher that went to the Cubs, you know. They didn't get Shoto and Manga, and they obviously didn't get Ohtani, and they didn't get, like, a few other guys. So they're just like, you know what? We need a guy like Jordan Hicks who's been a closer, a starter, reliever, and setup man. Let's sign him to a 4-year, $40 million deal. So I'm hoping that he's going to be their closer because he's been a pretty good pitcher. But I just don't know how who's injury prone, and we don't know if he's going to be a great starter, reliever, setup man, or closer. And the Cardinals dumped him on the Blue Jays at the deadline. Like, he's worth a 4-year investment, no matter how much it is, and for $44 million, like 11 per year, I guess. But that makes no sense. And lastly, the Yankees signed Marcus Stroman to a 2-year, $37 million deal. He's made comments, and they made comments where they don't want Stroman on the team. But Stroman is a New York kid. He lives in New York. He played for the Mets. You're going to put him in rotation with Carlos Rodon and Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole. It's pretty darn good. And then I mentioned Luke Weaver is one of like 5 or 6 other pitchers like Clark Schmidt and other guys that the Yankees have. Yankees are doing what they're supposed to, man. You add a pitcher like Stroman to what you already have in your rotation, and your outfield is disastrous, and you get Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham, and like that's like those are the moves to make. I don't know if it's going to help them win, but not bad moves. And we're going to get to 2 players who have passed away. Rest in peace to Billy Gardner, the former second baseman who played for the New York Giants, Baltimore Orioles, Senators, Twins, Yankees, and Red Sox. Went on to manage the Twins and Royals, and he won 2 championships. In 1954 with the New York Giants, in 1961 with the Minnesota Twins. So he had that to say, I got 2 championships on my mantle. He also said he managed in the Royals farm system, coached first base for the Expo, and the Montreal farm system as well, before being a third base coach for the Twins. So, not bad. He has a .442 winning percentage as a manager. He had 41 home runs, 271 runs batted in, a .237 average. Not bad. He passed away to 96. Rest in peace to him, and rest in peace to Mets legend Buddy Harrelson. When you're doing like all-time Mets teams, Jose Reyes obviously comes to mind as the best shortstop, but he was active when I made the list. And Buddy Harrelson went on to play for the Phillies and the Rangers and managed the Mets. He made 2 All-Star teams. Was on the '69 World Series Mets team. And in 1986, also was on the Mets team when the Mets won the World Series as a coach. So he's got both Mets eras. As a player or as a coach, was a Gold Glover and is in the Mets Hall of Fame. 236 average, 7 homer, 2.6 average. You'd be like, that's horrible. But again, great defensive shortstop, great clubhouse guys. Literally was someone who like came up clutch in the playoffs when it mattered. Unfortunately, passed away at the age of 79. He also was a coach and partner of the Long Island Ducks of the Atlantic Baseball League. Like, he was the only person to take part in both Mets championship and appear in the first World Series for the team. He won in the '69, appeared in the '73 World Series as a player, which they didn't win in '96 as a coach. It's only the player in Mets history to have appeared in 4 playoff seasons. That being as a player in '69, '73, and a coach in '86 and '88. So, just sad to lose a legend like that, but he was battling with Alzheimer's. You know, he died at a hospice facility just the other day. But rest in peace to Mets legend Buddy Harrelson as well. Thanks again for listening to another edition of MLB Observations Week 10 of Hot Stove edition of the 2023 season being ending, going into this year's 2024 season. For Honor Tape Block, I'm Raider. See you guys next time.